Let's talk about BRICS. It's gearing up to challenge a West-led world order. And India is at the forefront of this conversation. Listen in to what Jaishankar said.
Our gathering must send out a strong message that the world is multipolar, that it is rebalancing, and that old ways cannot address new situations. We are a symbol of change and must act accordingly.
Multipolarity, economic freedom, and a fair and just world order. India is defending these principles at BRICS. You know what BRICS is? It's a group of 5 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. BRICS foreign ministers met in South Africa. And later this year, the leaders will meet for a summit. And that will happen in August. But BRICS is setting the tone right now. They're joining forces and making bold moves. They're calling for a rebalancing of world order. They're talking about expansion. They're even considering a common currency. What's driving these ambitious plans? Let's find out. Now, the BRICS foreign ministers meet is a regular affair. But this year, the meeting has greater significance. BRICS is considering 2 proposals. Number 1, the expansion of BRICS, and number 2, the pitch for a common currency. There's progress on both fronts. Let me tell you one by one. First, let's talk about expansion. The queue to join BRICS is getting longer. Reports say 19 countries have shown interest. They want to become members of BRICS. We do not have a proper list or a formal document that gives names of all these interested parties. But since last year, several names have been doing the rounds. There are Latin American countries, African nations, even countries from West Asia and Asia are now showing interest. In fact, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the UAE have made formal requests to join. So there's clear consensus on expansion. But a final call is yet to be taken. Of course, it will come up for discussion again in August when BRICS leaders eventually meet for their annual summit. So what are the next steps? BRICS countries will now come up with a formal document, one that will serve as a guide for expansion.
More work will need to be done on this matter. It is still to be processed, and once we have a document that we believe offers clear guidance, we will then take that to the summit in August.
So that's the way forward. The work has already begun. Behind the scenes, as many as 15 foreign ministers were invited to this week's meetings. This includes the 5 BRICS members and those nations who are interested in joining. So there's no doubt that the BRICS will expand. It's only a matter of time. China, too, is backing the idea.
I believe the enlargement of the BRICS will be beneficial to the BRICS countries, beneficial to developing countries, and to increase the representation influence of this mechanism.
So the expansion plan has takers. The other proposal is of a common currency. Yes, a currency for BRICS. The idea was proposed last year by Russian President Vladimir Putin. You probably already know the reason why. Russia is under severe sanctions, so it needs an alternative. Other countries too feel the same need. They are looking for a replacement to the dollar. These countries have felt the impact of sanctions as well. There are more problems like rising energy prices and the increasing value of dollar. They have intensified the anti-dollar sentiment. So can BRICS offer an alternative? Not yet, but they are looking for guidance. The matter has been referred to the BRICS Bank, the new development bank. It is the group's very own banking institution. BRICS members have asked how a potential currency might work and if using it might lead to any sanctions. The feasibility of a common currency is being studied.
We had one of the senior executives of the new development bank briefing our meeting on work that the bank has been doing, looking at the potential use of alternative currencies to the current internationally traded currencies, and looking at how we strengthen the arm of the BRICS Development Bank, and also ensure that we do not become victim to sanctions.
So going by what the South African foreign minister has to say, the possibility is still being explored. We'll have to see how this pans out. It will be interesting to see how BRICS shapes its strategy in the coming months. For now, they're sending a clear message. BRICS wants to become the voice of the global south. It is trying to capitalize on the anti-West sentiment and gain ground. But execution will be tricky. Two problems could cause complications. The first one is the war in Ukraine and the arrest warrant against Putin. The International Criminal Court, or ICC, issued it earlier this year. It has put the host, South Africa, in a tricky situation. South Africa is a member of the ICC. If Putin attends this summit in August, there's a risk he might be arrested. Putin is yet to confirm his plans. The South African government is trying to find a way around. Recently, it decided to award immunity to all summit attendees. But there are doubts if this measure will be good enough. The outcome of this affair could affect the future of BRICS. Another challenge are the frosty ties between India and China. They could cast their shadow too. Would India like to join a common currency pool with China, keeping in mind the tensions at the border? What we do know is that New Delhi is trying to shield multipolarity through BRICS. The challenge will be to protect Indian interests as the BRICS tries to carve out a new identity for itself.